So this has to occur on all levels of life, not just with remote influence or remote perception of things. By the way, if you can start remotely influencing, this presupposes that you can remotely perceive. So my intention is to match your breathing wherever you are. So I go, okay, I'm on the phone with, or even if I'm not on the phone with, I want to match Dave's breathing. I'm in the way of it there. Get it? If I just want to match his breathing, I'm in the way of it. I'm willing to experience my breathing matching with Dave's. And my breathing automatically shifts. Even right now while I'm talking about this. Now, is there a way that I can prove that my breath matched with Dave's? No. Now, if we want to go in that direction, we're going to drop down to the level of force, and this is going to become counterproductive. And on the other hand, if we assume that that is the case for right now, I'm willing to experience my breath synchronizing with Dave's. And I feel a shift. That's cool. Now, what I want to do, and what I'm willing to do, is to play with this when it doesn't matter. We've talked about this before. And so I'm playing with this right now because it doesn't matter. I don't have feedback from Dave. So I'm sitting here and I'm willing to experience my breath matching Dave's. So we're both going into this. Remember, that's an essential part of willingness. Now, it's cool. Next time Dave and I get on the phone, back in the old days, I'd go, oh, it'd be real cool, like if he said that he was thinking about me at 9:15 on a Tuesday morning, yada, yada, yada. That's all fine and swell. However, that still goes down to the level of pride. Oh, yeah, I did it. How cool. Which is a level of force. We want to get away from that. We want to be willing to allow that to be let go of. So, by the way, anytime I model out pride, it enforces pride in somebody else. Because, oh yeah, look, Wingert's got a lot of pride. That's a good thing. I have pride too. If I'm willing to allow pride to be let go of, that will show a deeper level of integrity to somebody else, and everybody wins. And pride doesn't get horribly abused. So when we're playing with this, my first indication for you is to tell you this. Look, just play with this when it doesn't matter. Right now it doesn't matter if I match Dave. So I'm willing to allow my breath to match Dave's breath. Now what's cool, whenever we have our phone session, and I'm willing to allow my breath to match Dave's breath, something neat tends to happen. And it shows up in every phone call that we do. And that's nifty. And the reason it shows up then is because I'm playing with it when it doesn't matter. I don't need the proof. I assume that it's happening. Of course, I calibrate certain things, but I assume that it's happening. Years ago when I was training, we have our medicine wheel tapes, which are really, our CDs now. It's the new millennium. And one of the things that we explore on the third CD of the medicine wheel series is the area of plants. Traditionally, natives were taught, the medicine people were taught, and the normal people too, what you need grows where you are. Outside of my window is a cedar tree growing. Cedar trees are really, really cool. And it's a good general plant for a lot of things. Now, the room I'm in now used to be my father-in-law's bedroom. And right outside of his window, there grew a ton of violets, which are very high in natural vitamin A, which rebuilds the liver, and also tons and tons of dandelions. More violets and dandelions than I thought were possible to grow in a yard in this area. Grew right outside of his two windows. Now, Steve had liver problems, and he needed to take a water pill. Now, the dandelions would help get the water out of his body while keeping his electrolytes in balance. Pretty cool. The violets are very high in assimilable vitamin A, which would help rebuild his liver. And those things are right there. Now, I can assume that's the case. I can walk around spouting philosophy all day. However, when I look around, I notice that philosophy is realistic. What I'm willing to explore with you today is, again, this play when it doesn't matter thing. When I get these letters and these phone calls from people that say, you know what, I was doing some of this stuff to help me get back into my body and my energy system. Where we focus, we've met some different NLP trainers who have added energy work into their training. And that's fine and dandy. We started here with realistic low-level skills, that of the martial arts, that of the Apache Scout. The Apache Scout would have to get close enough to touch a deer in order to kill it, so it could remain invisible and still have food. You can't kill the deer from 30 feet and chase it through the woods without making a huge commotion, but if you get next to it, you can kill it silently. The old Kung Fu, the internal Kung Fu that we work with. Again, everything in internal Kung Fu is about healing, but we have to start with rough grade first. So we teach these rough drills. I mean, they're not nasty, but they're rough drills, because the rough drills teach us how to move and align ourselves with other humans and the earth in a rough way, because we get to learn this on a rough level first and then fine-tune it. Now, when we got into the NLP-based material and started training in NLP, I already had a strong background with the other sciences. which brought me to a very interesting conclusion, which is this. A lot of people are trying to use energy work to expand their NLP. We came from a very grounded level. Because when we talk to addicts and they say, well, dude, didn't the Indians always get stoned? Well, yeah. When you get stoned, what do you want to eat? And what can you eat? So I don't even feel like going to the store, so I eat the Twinkies that I've got. Okay, so you eat sugar, which causes you to crash more. And how do you move when you're high? Well, wow, man, yeah, you're obviously not going to get close enough to a deer to touch it. So if we're going to do what the Native Americans did, the Native Americans moved in certain ways, breathed in certain specific ways, specific rather than certain here. They moved in very specific ways. They used their eyes in very specific ways. The old Wu-Dang martial artists, which is what we teach primarily, would use their eyes and their bodies in specific ways because that activated a lot of potential. When we're working with this material here, there's some very specific things that we just bring into mind. The first of all is willingness. Now here's the thing. If you are willing to go out there and screw over people, you will get screwed over. That's basically how the world works. And that comes from a level of wantingness. Forget wantingness. Come up to willingness. What are you willing to experience? The girl, when I'm walking to the bar and I feel something, it's not coming from me. It's not coming from pictures inside of my head. It's not coming from me yakking to myself. Okay, I check those things out. I'm aware of a lot of that. I know it's not me. It's her. We've already established connection at that point. She doesn't even see me. I see her, and I've localized the sensations to her. So we've already connected with this feeling of emptiness, of lack, of something. So I take it a step further and match her breathing. By the way, the connection's already there. If I go, I'm willing to match Dave's breath. In the area of thought, Dave and I have already connected. I'm willing to, because Dave's in my mind at that point, before we even go through the willing to match the breath. The girl's sensations are in my mind at that point. We're going to assume that we're already connected. The plants are outside of Steve's window when he lived here because of the interconnectedness of all things. So if we assume that, and there's plenty of evidence for that, 724-963-1755. There's plenty of evidence with that. If we assume that and start to run with that, this can give us something very, very neat. If we have to go to the level of proof, we're going to get in our own way. We've watched people play with dowsing, and they want to prove that it works, and they don't get results. And on the other hand, I gave a ring of mine to an Alzheimer's patient when I worked in an old folks' home, and I needed to find that ring. And I was willing to do what it took to find that ring. And my little divining rods took me right to where the Alzheimer's patient put the ring. Pretty cool. I didn't have to prove that it worked to any nurse aides to look cool. Okay? I didn't have to, again, notice the levels of consciousness that we're revealing here. And allow yourself to play with these things. It's that simple. So let's take a little pause. So I want to introduce you to strippers. Or at least thinking like a stripper. One of the most common mistakes. So if we're going to talk about remote influence, the only reason why people, by the way, how long does it take for light to get from Pennsylvania to California? It's practically instantaneous. Boom. This is why we can talk on the phone. It's essentially the same energy, electricity, light. It's almost instantaneous. We might as well say it is. From Pennsylvania to California. Now, that's pretty cool. When we talk about strippers, by the way, it's the velocity. It's the frequency of light. What we modulate is the frequency of light, not the duration of it. If we're going to modulate the duration of light, we have to go to actually physically, well, if we're going to modulate the duration of light, we have to go to Morse code. Morse code, what we're doing is we're doing dot, 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 Okay, we have dots and dashes, or dashes and dots. If we're going to modulate by duration, a lot of people get into this and they are looking for duration. What I'm telling you to notice is frequency, and what you want to play with is frequency. Now, the stripper, I've been really blessed to have a few strippers in my life, for whatever that means. And one of the things that I've noticed is that they don't stay in state the whole time. We talk about this. And I said, well, I asked, well, when you don't feel sexy and you go to work, what do you do? I said, well, I seduce myself. That they seduce themselves. Okay, they flirt with themselves while they're flirting with the customers. They tease that emotion, they tease that state out of themselves so they can share it with others. Now, this is the thing. It's not about being in state for 8 hours for an 8-hour stripping shift. It's about getting back into the state with the guy. There's an amount of willingness there. I'm willing to seduce myself while seducing you. Get it? Now, if we want to go duration with this, I have to, how do you stay in state for 8 hours? You can't. How do I stay positive all the time? I can't. I notice when I sink and I rise back up rapidly. That's the key. If you have our vibrating palm videos, one of the reasons why I encourage people to get those, sooner or later everybody gets them. One of the reasons why we encourage people to get those is because we demonstrate 4 levels of force and 4 levels of power. And we show how to instantaneously, bang, have power literally come out of nowhere. It's very different than what most people have ever seen. It doesn't go well in movies, so you've never seen it in a movie. 99.9% of the real good martial artists have never even seen this stuff. So most people on the planet have never seen it, and that's okay, that's cool. But when you see it, you can literally take this something from nothing type power, bang, and it's there. Now, the key with it is not how long do I remain revved up, like getting all revved up, listening to the theme of Rocky doing a 90-foot firewalk. It's not how long I'm revved up, it's how fast can I rev up. Okay, that's the difference. That's the key here with this stuff. So whenever you're in state, whenever I'm walking to the bar and I'm in a certain state, it's not about maintaining a certain or specific state. What it's about is as I'm going to the bar, okay, my state can shift rapidly. Zzz, I get hit with something. I go, wow, that's emptiness. That wasn't me. It's the girl. How rapidly can I let her state hit me, notice it, let it hit me again to notice where it comes from? Again, how does sonar work? Ping. It goes around. Ping. Goes around. Ping. It's not... it's ping, and you notice what reflects back. Ping, you notice what reflects back. There's a certain frequency there. And that's what we get to play with this stuff. Frequency is a huge key. If you want, that's probably one of the most number one things. People want to, I have to maintain state and all this, and this affects your entire life. It's not just about remote something or another. It's about everything. Carol and I talk, and a tense moment will come up, and we both learn to take what we need from that moment and drop it, so we don't have to fight for hours, days, months, years, and bring it back up. It's just, here, I got it, okay, and we let it go. Frequency, gang. If you're going to lighten up, if you're going to become more enlightened, if you're going to put more light on the subject, if you're going to work with people at the speed of light, whether they're next to you or across the continent, you get to explore frequency. Again, this is John Wingard. I want to thank you for taking the time and playing with this material from the Shadow Scout remote viewing realm. Our phone number is 724-963-1755. Why not give us a call and do some honor coaching? It's fun, affordable. I guarantee it's affordable. If you don't know about it, give us a call or drop us an email and find out why. And let's have some fun. By the way, if you've received this from anybody but us, there's a few people out there bootlegging our products, and that we don't like. And there are a few people out there reselling it, and that's okay. I mean, that's up to them. But if you've received this from anybody but us, and you're not sure if it's authenticity, I would really, really appreciate a phone call or an email. And you can reach us anytime from our websites at www.johnwingert.com or wingertgroup.com. Those are two of the easier ones to get to. And we also have a neat one called nlplive.com. You may want to check that out. Thank you for your time, and let's go on to Disc 2.